Brian's Beat.
Top of the Thursday to you, or at least we're getting there. 10 minutes after 10 a.m. on the last day of March. You ever notice that March seems to drag on and on and on? It doesn't matter that we had a leap day this year for February, but because February is a short month, then that next month comes in and it just drags and drags. We've almost had 5 full weeks of this month. I believe the first of the month was on a Wednesday and the last of the month on a Thursday. Tomorrow is April Fool's Day. I don't think I'm going to pull any April Fool's jokes except for coming into the studio. And that would be more of a joke on me than on you. 508-996-0500. Toll free 877-996-1420. And the email address is briansbeat at WBSM.com. Briansbeat at WBSM.com. People want to talk about this whole ordeal with Donald Trump. And if you'd like to express your opinion one way or the other, male or female, I would certainly love to hear from you, because the more I hear from Donald Trump, the more he seems to put his 12-footer in his mouth. It's unbelievable. And then he's changing sides of the street. You can't tell, are you blaming the doctor? Are you blaming the woman? The woman's the victim. I don't get it. Donald, you're talking. You know what he's doing? He's doing like many politicians do, talking out of both sides of his mouth. And I think I think there are 2 reasons why he's doing it. 1, he's trying to get as many votes as possible. 2, he's trying to get his butt out of the race. It's really hard to tell with this man. But I have to ask you, you've heard these comments, you've heard other comments. There was somewhere in there where he was saying that he was going to be the best person for all women. I don't know if women are sitting there believing it or if they're twiddling their thumbs. I know one thing's for sure. Hillary doesn't believe it. I don't believe her, though. So anyway, that you'd like to toss that part around, that's great. Last evening, let me first give some props to Jennifer Duarte, Michelle Furtado, Janelle Goldman, and others involved with this opt-out meeting last evening at the downtown New Bedford Public Library. In fact, I believe Casey is working on something right now where you will find it at WBSM.com dealing with this whole meeting. If you were there, you heard some very interesting commentary from teachers, from parents. I talked to a student who, when he was in 6th grade, wanted to take the MCAS, despite the fact that his father said, no, you're too sick, you shouldn't go to school. But he convinced his father that he would rather take the test ill than have to do a makeup down the road. This is 6th grade, Keith Middle School. So he goes to school. He cracks open the test, and he's feeling really sick. He says to the teacher, Can I please go to the nurse? The teacher asked, well, did you open up the booklet? And he said, yeah, I started the test. So she gives him whatever, a slip or whatever necessary to go down to the nurse. Then the teacher proctor calls up the nurse's office and says the kid can't go home. He's got to come back to the room to finish the test, no matter how sick he is. And so he does so. He says he didn't have an option. He had to go back and finish the test. Fast forward to where we are now. He is in high school. He has not taken MCAS since that frightful year for him in 6th grade. There were numerous parents that raised their hand when the question was asked, are you opting your kid out of, or children I should say, out of the test for this year? Lots of hands went up. The question was also asked if you had done the same thing the year before. Not as many hands went up. But here's what we're getting at here. More and more people are finding out that you can opt out. Now, I'm going to use a word, and you can say it's semantics, whatever you would like to say about it. Fact of the matter is, opt out today from me is going to equal refusing, or refusing out, whatever way you would like to say it. We have been told by administrators, local and statewide, that there's no opt-out procedure. I have received letters from the school department saying that whether it's opting out or refusing, there's no procedure. Well, here's the deal, and it's interesting. It seems to follow how laws in general work. Never thought about it until Dr. Rosa brought it up last evening. Michelle Furtado brought it up last evening. If they don't say you can't do it, then it's all right to go ahead and do it. If they tell you you can't do it, then you can't do it. So since there is no opting out procedure, it does not preclude you from opting out. I know it's a tongue twister, but it's true. And you ready for the kicker? Ooh, that's the kicker right there. So apparently there is this town in western Massachusetts. It's called Amherst. You know, where the University of Massachusetts at Amherst hangs out. Well, there are a couple of school districts out there. One is known as a regional district with Pelham and Amherst. And they put out a release after their meeting on March 22, basically stating that they are backing the parent's right, or the child's right, to opt out of high-stakes testing like PARCC and MCAS. They made it official. And now you're wondering, well, if they can do it, why can't Dartmouth, Fairhaven, New Bedford, why can't they do the same? Enter one Josh Amaral. Josh was at the meeting last evening, same with Chris Cotter, both of the New Bedford School Committee. Josh Amaral stood up and he said he's looked over what was written, and he is going to try to adopt a similar policy for the city of New Bedford. And my eyes went wide open when I heard that. He's going to try to adopt it. And not only is he going to try to adopt it, but guess what? If he can get it done in time, he is going to put it on the agenda for the next New Bedford School Committee meeting, which is April 11. April 11. And I believe that's, 2 Mondays? 2 Mondays coming. So there are no promises that he'll get it done for April 11th. He's doing his bestest to get it done for April 11th. And certainly I hope so. Now, here's something that's very, very important. Amaral brought this to my attention a couple of times. He says, if we can't get the parents and teachers with the kids in the New Bedford system to show up at the meeting to show support for this opting out policy that the city is going to put together, then it will die on the vine. Meaning that if he can get this done and on the agenda for April 11th, you have to play. You have to show up. You have to go to the meeting. You have to make yourselves known that you would like the policy adopted. A quick speech saying, yes, I support what Josh Amaral has put together for the city of New Bedford will suffice. You don't have to get up there and give a diatribe. Just get up there and say, yes, I support it. Let the superintendent know that you support it. Let the mayor know that you support it. Let the other school committee members, it will be Livramento, Nobrega, Finnerty, Oliveira. Let these people also know that you support what Josh is going to translate and put out for the city of New Bedford. Casey, let me ask you, is that thing up on WBSM.com?
It's going up right now. Yes.
It's going up. I'm sorry, I didn't turn you on. Now you're turned on.
It's going up right now. You can read, if Amherst Pelham can opt out, New Bedford should be able to refuse.
Thank you very much. 508-996-0500, toll free, 877-996-1420. That's how you get on Brian's Beat. It's Thursday.
Brian's Beat.
Getting back to the program today, I thank you for being with us. Teacher Career Fair. Teacher Career Fair, City of New Bedford, Keith Middle School on Saturday, starting at 9:30. It's a 3-hour event. I wonder how many people are going to show up for something like that. South Coast Health lays off 95 employees. They did have some financial growth, but as I have to impress upon many a people, it's not necessarily how much money you make. It's what you do with the money that you make. Now, their revenue was up 4%, but expenses were up 6%. I think the first year around, when they had this new group, they had a lot of red ink. And then last year they were in the black. But either way you're looking at it, 95 employees on the chopping block. I wonder if it's somebody that's going to take your blood pressure, or if it's Nibby, the janitor. Who gets cut here? From what I understand, it's across the board. So that means some doctors are out the door, some nurses are out the door. Maybe your favorite phlebotomist is going to go by the wayside, or somebody that does the x-rays, somebody that cleans the toilets. 95 people going to get laid off in the very near future. And South Coast is merging with this Providence company, and on Tuesday, that company in Rhode Island laid off 58 people. And they say it has nothing to do with the merger. Good morning. Welcome to Brian's Beat.
Good morning, Brian. I couldn't get a chance to go out last night. I had a different commitment. But I understand that you were there, and I see that you were doing an excellent job promoting this, and the Standard Times wasn't there. That I find that interesting. Also, on your point of Josh Amaral, could you explain exactly what it is that he is going to do again?
I'll do my best. I'm also going to point you to WBSM.com, or you can go to our Facebook page. But let me just go back quickly. There are two school districts in Amherst. One is Amherst, and then there's a regional school district with the town of Pelham. And that Pelham-Amherst School District has a release out from their meeting on the 22nd. Or, excuse me, at least the release came out on the 22nd. And what they are writing up is the fact that they are sticking by the parents and the teachers' right to opt out of high-stakes testing like PARCC and MCAS. And we saw an exhibit of this last night. In fact, if you go to our favorite website there for educational issues, I posted it up on that particular site, so you can see it there.
Okay,
However, what it does, what Josh is going to do, is put it into New Bedford language and have it presented to the chairman of the school committee in order to get it on the agenda for the next school committee meeting.
Well, that's something nice to do, but as you know, Brian, about 3 or 4 months ago, Josh and the school committee unanimously voted for PARCC. They voted for it. Now, if he's reversing his decision after he's already taken the vote supporting PARCC, it's going to be interesting to see how all of that plays out, because all 7 members, except all 6 members rather, because Chris Carter was not on the school committee at that point, but Chris attended that meeting. They all voted for PARCC, including Marlene Pollack, including Josh. So I don't know whether this is Josh is up for election in the next year. He knows that education is going to be a critical issue, if that is why he's doing it. But the first thing that I would hope what he does at the next school committee meeting is get up and explain that I voted for PARCC. I've changed my mind. I no longer like PARCC. So now I'm asking the school committee to reverse itself. Do you think that that's going to occur?
Well, I think that it all butts heads, and we will find out either on April 11th if it makes it to the agenda, or it may have to wait until May. But I'm very interested. He stood up and made his comments. I recorded a segment with him afterwards, and all I can say is we'll find out one way or the other.
Have a good one, Brian.
Thank you very much for your call. 508-996-0500. Hey, Brian.
With the hospital, let's see, they've expanded and building a huge hospital on Fallons Corner Road. They wanted to merge with South County in Rhode Island. Now I believe they're merging. That fell through. Now they want to merge with somebody in, Providence?
Well, I think they're headquartered in Providence. They're Providence-based Care New England Health System.
So they want to expand their tentacles as a nonprofit. So the hospital is a government whore. It's all government money. And they're expanding their tentacles, nonprofit. Everybody at the top, big salaries. And then now they're expanding. You expand your household, you live beyond your means. So they're doing that, and now that they're running in the red, now they're going to get rid of the pharmacy tech. They're going to get rid of the lady that takes blood. They're going to cut back janitorial. But everybody at the top is good. What about
That's a great question. I wonder if everybody at the top is good.
Now Chuck will call in. Do we blame Wall Street for this? Because it's a nonprofit, and, you've got an opioid epidemic bankrupting the emergency room. Do we blame Wall Street for this? Or do we go after the state regulators to say, hey, well, you're expanding your empire, and now you're laying off the little people? Hey, tell Senator Kirk, don't agree to any of these mergers. Don't let the state sign off on any of these until you start running the hospital appropriately.
Well, it's not just the hospital. They also have those little health huts, those urgency places out there, too. So there's a lot to watch out for. Thank you much for your call. Hello.
Hi. Hey, so before people call, they need to do their research. It's not only you. On Taylor's show yesterday, somebody called after the hospital news came out. That big little hospital over there on Fallons Corner Road is owned by Arcadia, not South Coast Healthcare Systems, okay? Not it's South Coast Behavioral Health.
That's its name, yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So get your facts straight, people, before you call. Second of all right, that building there is done wonders for the community, because never before have people with mental health issues been able to get the care they need that they are now. They've been neglected. Nobody advocated for them. And now there's a facility to treat people with bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, dual diagnosis. So before you call and file your gripes and make your complaints, get your facts straight. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you for your call. I do appreciate it. 508-996-0500. South Coast Health is laying off 95 employees. The group that they're going to merge with, Care New England Health System, the previous day announced 58 employees would be laid off. Hello.
Hey, I'm just calling with a comment about the Amherst resolution.
Yes.
Resolution. I think basically the only difference between if that was made into a resolution would be the clause where it says educators who choose to discuss the right to opt out with their students or parents shall not be subjected to any form of retribution, because I think that's the problem that's happening now, is that teachers have been told not to speak about it, not to comment to parents who, they're not to discuss opting out. They're not to provide that information really to parents. So I think that's the other part of it also.
Well, wait a minute. So why does that have to be erased from there?
Oh, no. I think that's that's the difference between just the kind of permission that's in the Commissioner's News weekly update there. Because I think the rest of it is that, students can refuse the test without negative consequences. That seems to be all in there. But the part from the regional schools that would be beneficial for Josh to write up for the District of New Bedford would be that educators can choose to discuss the right to opt out with students and their parents.
Okay, I understand that. You were at the meeting. When you heard Josh Amaral make the announcement, did he sound sincere to you?
Oh, yeah, I was shocked. I didn't know. I was shocked to hear that, because I would have thought someone who was so gung-ho on providing parents with the opportunity to opt out, refuse, would have stood up at the previous school committee meeting when the mayor was kind of putting down parents as to why. I don't know why any parent would want to refuse this test. I don't think it makes any sense to refuse this test.
Yeah.
And yet Josh didn't say anything to the defense of a parent's opinion or choice to do that at the time.
Fair enough, but did he sound sincere last evening?
I don't know. I don't know where that burst of energy came from. I don't know what. It was
I thought he was pretty sincere about it.
Yeah, I hope
that's
so.
why I wait to see. I know that he has the information, so he can start scribbling and putting it together into the framework.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
I hope he does, and I think that'd be a great move for the city.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. 508-996-0500. You're next on Brian's Beat. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. This is Jessie McKenna.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Brian. Hi. I was at the meeting last night, you know.
Yeah. Are you on a speakerphone?
I can try and get off of it.
Please.
I am.
Yeah, because you're way out there, baby. Come on back in here. Are you there? Hello? Hello? Did I lose you? I lost her. If you get the opportunity, please call back. 508-996-0500. A couple of things at play here. South Coast Health deciding that they're going to lay off 95 people and merge with this other company out of Rhode Island, which laid off 58 people. They say that the merger has nothing to do with it. And maybe it doesn't. Look, I'm not a fly on the wall at their meeting. I certainly was a fly on the wall at last evening's meeting, maybe a little bit more than a fly. And when I was quite surprised when I heard Josh Amaral make his announcement, but he sounded very sincere. I think the proof will be in the pudding if he puts something together. At the same time, I can also add that Chris Cotter was there, and if Josh can't put it together, maybe Chris will do so. Hello.
Hi, it's Jessie again.
Hi, Jessie again. How are you?
I had another call coming in. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I don't know what happened.
So I know who's important.
No. I don't know what happened. But
right.
anyway.
Yes.
So I was at the meeting last night, and after I left, I was thinking about it. And, you know, the PARCC test starts for, I know for a fact, for my fourth grader, April 29th.
Okay.
So it's you know, I was thinking about it. I'm thinking, okay, you know, the school committee meeting's April 11th. You know, obviously, you know, Josh Amaral was saying, you know, this. I feel like this is an important issue I'm willing to fight for. And that worries me. I'm worried because are they talking about next year? Because I feel like if we don't encourage parents to opt out now, meaning like in the next 30 days or so, we're gonna miss our opportunity.
Well, I think there are two sides to the coin there. First, you have to be able to get it on the agenda for the school committee to talk about. So he's got to put that together and get the consent of the chairperson of the school committee in order to do it. Now, just because, let's say for whatever reason, it can't make that next school committee meeting. Right. It does not preclude you or any of the other parents to refuse on your own right now.
Right.
I think the policy is already moving forward, and surprise, surprise, there are many people in the city of New Bedford that have already refused to take these tests that are upcoming. And I think it's going to surprise many of the school principals and teachers and maybe the administration when all is said and done. All right, so now let's swing past April, the 20th of April, and get into the fall. Now you've got the campaign for the to end Common Core, which would also end PARCC as they know it.
Yes. Yes,
so,
and MCAS 2.0.
Well, you know, call it what it is. A spade is a spade, as they like to say. But, so there are many things that can help this move forward. It could be wiped out by the voters. But under the pretense that for whatever reason it doesn't get on the next ballot agenda for the school committee, it doesn't stop it from getting on there in May. It won't be retroactive, obviously, but it would be good for the next time around.
Right. You're right. It'll be a good message. It'll be a good message to send out to the community that even the school board does not agree with this. I mean, I think that then it's not just a bunch of parents that look like they're opposing the school. You know, they're anti-school, they're anti-public education, they're anti-teacher. I think, like, the message needs to get out. It's the test. It's the curriculum that we're opposing.
Your child also goes to a school where there's been some bullying, assault activity.
Yes.
Why keep your kid there? Why not choose an alternative form of education?
Actually, my son was in the classroom, okay? The reason why I don't want to pull my children out of the New Bedford public school system is because I truly do believe in it, okay? I do believe in the teachers and their ability to teach. I believe that this evaluation process is bogus, okay? I know they can do it. I feel like what is being asked of them is tying their hands, okay?
Yeah, I got it. Only because of time. Thank you much.
Okay, thank you.
I do appreciate your call. And I'm going to take some other calls. I am going to pay a bill, too, because I don't want to be like South Coast and have to lay myself off.
Brian's Beat.
Welcome back to Brian's Beat. I am Brian, the cab driver, talking a bit about last evening's meeting. Oh, Standard Times caller asked about why they weren't there last evening. I'm not sure that they received the invite, number one. Number two, there may have been other things going on that the reporter was covering. And I have not personally been in touch with Kathleen, but be that as it may, there's always a chance for her to follow up. We can't be at every meeting every time. And while I believe that this was a very important meeting, a lot of things came out at last night's meeting. For instance, you know, I don't know if you went to the school committee meeting earlier this month. it was mentioned by, I want to say, certainly somebody high up in the administration, that if you do not take the PARCC exam, that you will receive a 0 for not taking that test. At last night's meeting, we found out, well, that's not true. So it does open up a discussion, because if there's anyone from the school department listening that wants to hold on to, yes, the child will get a 0, I haven't seen any documentation regarding that, in particular from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. They would hand down such a policy. So if there is some verifiable proof, that's what we would like here, documentation saying that's the case, I'm going to have to say then that it's quite the opposite, that your child will not receive a 0. Again, if I can be proven otherwise, I will certainly correct my statement. But as of right now, I'm going to hold true to what I heard last evening, that there is no such documentation to prove that if your child refuses to take the high-stakes test, that they will receive a 0. One thing to add into here, dealing with 10th graders taking the MCAS, it is a state law, a state regulation, that the child has to pass the MCAS in order to graduate. What I am waiting for is for the wise person to come up with some type of rule, regulation, law that says, well, if you passed all your other courses, but you didn't, for whatever reason, let's say you didn't want to take the exam, that your certificate of completion is equal to a high school graduation. Does anybody agree with that, or do you disagree? 508-996-0500. Thank you for your patience. Hello.
Hey, Brian. How are you today?
Excellent.
Boy, the whole thing, just the cover-up of this, or the potential cover-up, is extremely troubling, extremely. And yesterday when, it's just a little bit off, but it seems like more misinformation. When the man's on with Taylor, he says that the unemployment rate is dropping, or is dropped, and we hear nothing but layoffs everywhere. So that doesn't seem to ring true. And then when you question him on something, and then you question about the $1 million he's saving because of the alternative energy, it's not really savings. It's just into the budget. So, when they come out, these politicians, and they want to talk every week, they're kind of spewing a lot of propaganda.
Well, if I can just say this, it doesn't say anywhere here with South Coast Health that the 95 employees are all coming from the city of New Bedford.
Yeah, but when you go around touting that the unemployment rate is very low in the city of New Bedford, because they're not calculating in the people that aren't even in the system anymore, that can't find a job. And it's just very misleading when they do that. Just like he said, he saved $1 million on electric, but then he said because of wind and their alternative energy, that then I asked why he raised the taxes $1 million, so he was technically down $2 million. But he says, we never technically spent that $1 million on electric. But, I mean, they come out and they tout these facts, and they don't seem to be very true. And
let me ask you something, because when we talk about the unemployment numbers, if people have exhausted benefits, they don't go back to the unemployment office, how are they supposed to be counted? How do you know if they found a job or did not find a job?
That's for the people that get paid to figure that out, but they used to have those calculations, and they changed the calculation to figure the unemployment number. But if you come out and say unemployment's at 6% in the city of New Bedford, I don't believe that. All it is, my whole point is, just like you're going through right now, what I'm listening to with this, this PARCC and opt-out, the language, it just seems like it's not really the truth.
Doublespeak?
Yes, and that is the biggest crime of it all, and I'll call it a crime because you're lying to the taxpayers. So that was just my point. And when you bring it out, and when Taylor has him on there, it's like, it's this guy again. But I didn't get out there and say, hey, I'm saving $1 million here. But then you say, hey, we went up $1 million, so technically you should have went up $2 million. But you're still promoting higher wages for people getting into working for the city, which is more tax dollars. And then when you ask them about why he says it's high because of the pension plan, well, now you're paying more money. Your pension plan's going to go up. Then they say, oh, well, it's only $1 or $2 increase, so it's not much. But it is much because it's more than what you had.
Gotcha. Thank you for your call. I do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Caller brings up a very interesting point. 2 points, actually. One dealing with the actual number, how many people are working. We've been talking about South Coast Health laying off 95 employees, and Care New England Health System, which is actually out of Rhode Island, and they don't have any shops in Massachusetts, but they announced on Tuesday, I believe, that they are laying off 58 people. South Coast Health employs about 7,500 people. 7,595, that's a significant number. Both numbers are pretty significant. 7,500 on the payrolls, 95 getting chopped from the payroll. But what I find the most interesting, and this may go a little to what the caller was just speaking about, is that the news about laying off people has nothing to do with the merger plans. Now, as you sit at home or drive in your vehicle, sit at your desk, wherever you may be, whether they're telling the truth or not, don't you find it a little difficult to believe that this merger has nothing whatsoever to do with the layoffs? Now, I know that one company is in Rhode Island, but when they become a conglomerate, whatever you want to call it, there might be some jobs that are done in Rhode Island that don't need to be done in Massachusetts. You don't need two people doing a particular set of books. Would be different with doctors, although doctors can commute. Might be different with nurses, although nurses can commute. Might be different with janitors. They're not going to commute. 508-996-0500. That's how you get on the show today. Hey.
Hey, good morning. How are you today?
If I were doing any better, that'd be three of me.
Well, as far as South Coast goes, I'm just a peon within the hospital system itself, but just an observation of mine. First of all, I think it's a bunch of bunk as far as the cuts not being related to the merger. I mean, we're all pretty clear that that's what's going on. Both companies have cut, people in certain areas for a specific reason, whether it's cost or to better be able to merge, certain aspects of the business together, whatever the case might be. And I'm not privy to any of that information, so I don't know for 100% certainty. It's just my opinion on the matter. But so that's that. And then, there's some other things going on there. They talked about revenue, being up 2%, but expenses being up by 6%, I believe was the number that was given.
Correct.
I'm not surprised by that at all. There are tons of outreach facilities that South Coast has opened over the last several years to reach out into the community to supposedly make it easier for residents of the area to receive health care in various different areas, whether it be heart or maternity or whatever it might be. But all those facilities cost money to operate. So the more buildings you have more operating costs. So
that's right. The electricity is still going to run. The gas, however way you heat, your phone bill, sure, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah,
and
so,
people, you employ people to work there.
Right, you have to staff it, you have to clean it, there's a whole number of things that have to go on for you to be able to operate all those facilities. So, I don't know the numbers because I'm not sitting there with all that stuff, and they do supposedly know what they're doing, but you have that, and then, of course, they just recently, moved over to a different computerized healthcare system.
Maybe so. I got it, though. I get it where you're coming from. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I do appreciate the call. The reason why I cut him off, I have to go into a break, and then we've got Dan with the WBSM News, ABC News at the top of the hour. We did have a caller call in before talking about Acadia Healthcare owning the South Coast Behavioral Health Center in Dartmouth up there on Fonts Corner Road. As I read here in the newspaper, South Coast Health System, I guess, has a joint venture with the Behavioral Health Center, so they are indeed involved.
Brian's Beat.
A community college in Massachusetts has been evacuated due to threats of a shooting. Quinsigamond Community College in Worcester issued an alert at 8:47 this morning that the campus had been closed until further notice. It asked all faculty and students to leave in an orderly fashion. At 10:16 this morning, the college said it had received a shooter threat. No other details were available. The evacuation comes after the campus was closed yesterday afternoon due to a bomb threat. I had no idea about the bomb threat. We'll find out what Dan knows when he does the news in just a little bit. ABC News at the top of the hour, then hour 2 of Brian's Beat.
Brian's Beat.